How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am Tim Wagner.
All right, Tim, we got a pretty good show lined up here. I mean, it's going to be a real dry one in the front.
Wow.
But in the back half, we got comedy coming up. And just hang in there for a minute on that one. Dry one. That was a joke. Speaking of comedy, we are going to talk about the drought, the current drought that the United States is in, and low water fishing tips. We're just basically going to talk about there's not much water coming out of the sky right now.
There's not.
That's going to fuck shit up.
Yeah, like my yard.
And from the laugh, we go into comedy where we're going to have our first guest, dude. I'm fucking pumped.
Me too, dude.
We got Nathan Hults.
Yes, sir.
A funny man from South Dakota.
Yes.
Who will be joining us on the second half where we're just gonna mix it up, have some laughs, talk
and
comedy.
By funny man, you mean stand-up comic. He is a funny man, but not just a funny man. He is a professional funny man.
That's right. Thank you. He is a professional funny man. Nathan Hults from Dakota, named Sioux Falls Funniest Man. He is also a producer and a writer of comedy, of stand-up comedy, of course. And that is why we brought him on the show. Or that's why we'll be bringing him on the show. However you want to look at it. It doesn't matter because we have to get into the fishing topic. But before we do that, Tim, let me do the housekeeping.
Get it.
Everybody, we got a Patreon, patreon.com/realaftv, real with 2 E's. There is a $10 tier, Boat Fishers, as an exclusive YouTube show and Q&A for that show. Me and Tim will make a YouTube show, and you can ask us questions, and we can go ahead and make that show. It's freeform because we want to leave it open to kind of do whatever we want, but rest assured, if you're at the $10 tier, if you're joining us as one of our boat fishers, you will get your question on the show. Unless you're asking dick questions. Don't ask dick questions. That's why you're on Patreon.
Yeah, whatever.
Us.
I'm going to go back on what Josh said. Ask a dick question.
All right. I'm still splitting the podcast in the off week because remember, the Real AF TV podcast drops every other Monday. So in that off week, you're going to get the fishing topic on Wednesday. You're going to get the random take on Friday. This one's going to be a good one because, man, in a couple weeks here, we're going to have a comedy special on Friday. Ooh, I'm not saying that we produce a comedy special. That sounded way too much. Nathan produces comedy specials. We do not.
No, we do
anyways. So don't forget, every other Monday, the Real AF TV podcast is on Google Podcasts and other services. Thank you to all the new YouTube viewers and listeners. I hope you come back for this one. We had a good week last week. So
Thank
Tim,
you. I don't do this ever, but this is the emoji. So there you go.
So yes, please share with your friends. We're all over, not just YouTube.
Oh, for you just audio listeners, I put my hands like an emoji is.
Oh shit!
You should check out Patreon. Then I just realized I'm like nobody saw any of that. So
that's right. Thank you for catching that because yes, we are still locking the video podcast behind the $1 paywall. Just $1 over on patreon.com/realaftv gets you the video podcast. We're still making tweaks. We have some video hiccups I've noticed. They look good. Yep. They look great. Get them while they're in beta mode right now. And before ice fishing season comes, you will be getting it publicly every other Monday.
Yeah.
You got any news, any info, any daily tips, anything hot, Tim?
First off, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
You're relatively close to the craziest thing I've heard happening in Minnesota in a while. Did you hear what happened in Shakopee yesterday?
Oh, no.
So this is completely unrelated, but I had to ask you because yesterday at about, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon, sunny day, broad daylight, decent neighborhood. Some guy stabbed a girl a bunch and then cut her head off
What?
in the middle of the day. And
What the
there's some
fuck,
lady that
dude?
caught it on tape. And like not the
What?
whole, yeah, I saw it. Like you just see a body flop and then he like walks away with the head.
What the fuck?
And that happened in the middle of the day in
In Shakopee.
Shakopee, which is
Yeah,
relatively
Shakopee's
close to
just
you.
next door. Like, we're just, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, oh no, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
I know. As I heard about it today, and I heard about it by some guy being like, "Have you heard about this?" And he's like, I was like, "No," and he's like, "Check out this video," and I'm like, "You have a video?" And then he was like, "Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch," and I was just like, "I've seen a lot of shit. Throw it at me,
I
bro."
grew up in the
And he's
days
like,
of when you
"Yeah,
could buy
yeah,
as seen on TV
right."
shit.
And he's like, "Oh no, it's like not hard to watch like that. It's like hard to watch like you can't really see it very well." And then I
Oh,
watch it and like you're right, you can't really see it. All you see is like the body flop and then the dude walks away with something and then you're just like knowing what actually happened. Then you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay. I know
that's a
what
head.
happened." Hmm.
Holy fucking shit, dude.
And
That is
that's
crazy.
basically what the lady says in the video the whole time. Cuz she's like in her house filming through the
Yeah.
window and she's just like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" She just keeps saying it over and over.
Oh my
And I mean,
God.
like, what else would you say? She just witnessed somebody get their head cut off.
Yeah.
That lady needs
What the
therapy.
fuck? I was just gonna say, so she has a lifetime of therapy coming for her now. Whoa.
Hmm.
Oh
And
my
this
God.
on the tail end of, like, in the same day, hours before, I had to run in with a schizophrenic dude. And then when I hear about it,
Oh.
I'm like, dude, I could have been that. Well, I wouldn't have been that woman. Like, not trying to be like, I can't have the same fate, but also I had the high ground. Like if that guy would have taken one step towards the truck, I would have just kicked him in the face and drove away.
Right. Like you already had a getaway plan because you knew right away this was a sketchy situation.
Right. But for
Yeah.
people listening at home, real quick, guy with a upside down cross tattooed in the middle of his forehead is filming me from the I drive a step van, like a UPS style step van,
Hmm.
and I come out from the back and he's filming me and I'm just like, what's going on? And then we have like a little back and forth, nothing special, just kind of confused at what's going on. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, you George Clooney, the guy that made Star Wars?" And I said, "Nah, George Clooney didn't make Star Wars." And then he goes, "Oh, that's right, it was George Lucas. They're brothers." And then I said, "No, that's not how brothers work." And then he goes, "Oh, so you're God?" And I said, "Wrong again. not, not God." And he just goes, "You're a CIA agent?" And I just said, "Nope." And then he goes, here's where in his crazy mind, he
Hmm.
his gotcha moment. Because after I say I'm not a CIA agent, he goes, "Oh, so you are God." And just like,
I
and
got
then,
you.
yeah, and then he continues to just go, "Hey, I just want to thank you for letting me live in this house, bro." And like when he said that, I look up and there's like a nurse standing in the doorway. So it was like a halfway home for whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
And I,
just like this person who cut off the other person's head, there was definitely some fucking
oh
psycho
yeah,
drugs involved for
I mean,
sure.
like, there's, I mean, you just don't do that because,
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
even know what else to
Yeah.
say about it.
That is a very rarely. Anyways,
Yeah. But I couldn't believe that the
we're too
nurse,
far.
I couldn't believe that the nurse saw it and turned away and just went into the house.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
that's
you
weird.
know what
She
I'm
should have came out
dealing
and got
with.
him or
Yeah.
something,
I was
or
like, you know
he.
what
I
I'm
don't know.
dealing with here. Just come and get this thing. It's like, and I, I'm not, I know some people get like a little bit worked up when you're making fun of people that are schizophrenic or whatever, and like
I don't
I
think you're
should.
making fun of it, but
I did
yeah,
call.
I
I
know.
did just
I
call him a
appreciate what
thing
you're
because I
doing.
thought it was funnier to say "come get this thing" than say "come get this guy." But
Right.
but I
No,
don't know.
I
Is
got you. I got
is
you.
thing the politically correct thing to say? Anyways, I'm not. I'm not assuming his gender. Just call him a thing. Or is that offensive? I don't know. But
I,
anyways, like if you think I'm not gonna laugh at him, you're crazier than he is. That's the weirdest shit I've ever seen.
right. And I don't think you're in any way making fun of like mental health situations at all.
Yeah.
It was a weird fucking situation that happened
Yep.
to you, and it's
So
funny.
so
It's
just
fucking
to
funny.
just to finish it off, he thanked me for letting him live in that home, and I'm just like, yeah, no, you got it, dude. And he's just like, all right, man. And then I was just like, yeah, have a good one, and
Just
drove
pieced out.
off. And got far enough away so he couldn't see me anymore, and then stopped the truck just to have a moment of like, what just happened? So yeah. Anyways, I dealt with a
All right.
crazy person. You had a crazy person near you. It's just a weird day. And
Damn.
then I no joke, pull up my phone because I'm just like, is it almost a full moon? I thought we weren't that far. Like, there's got to be
No, it's pretty
something
far
setting
past.
all these people. We're like somewhere in between a full moon and a
In
half
between.
moon.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
know what you call it. The
The
crazy
waning
cycle, I
gibbous.
guess. I don't know.
All right, man. Let's get into this
Yeah.
this fishing thing. Let's do it. So speaking of the local around my area, shout out again to the Southwest Media because they just did an article on the drought. There is a big drought happening in the United States right
Yes,
now.
sir.
And that's pretty much where, that was the topic that I started with because I just keep thinking about how that is affecting how it's affecting the fish because we know there's low water levels everywhere and everything like that. And so, anyways, shout out to them because they really went into the details about like how to be safe in the heat because the heat is why there's such a drought. There's just this long stretch of heat that's happening across a lot of the country. So, anyways, it was just a good reminder, make sure to drink water, make sure to get in the shade, make sure to not stay out too long. Do those things as fishers, as people out there fishing, you have to, be aware of that sort of shit and be aware of the weather, right? So
Yep.
I just wanted to, put a little public service announcement at the top of this topic because, man, that shit can get you for real.
Yeah. Heat is no joke, and dehydration can sneak up on you. Like you should never let it get to the point where you stop sweating. But if it's 90 degrees and humid and you aren't sweating anymore, you need to find something to drink quick. Unless you're
Yeah.
just one of those crazy people that can like wear a sweatshirt and this shit. I don't know what's wrong with you, but
I get, dude, I've seen the lawn people do it. I'm just like,
yeah, I know.
they're mowing the lawn on Wednesday, and I like go and pull or Thursday or whatever the fuck day is. I don't know. I don't
Right.
know when they mow the lawn, but like, um, anyways, the point
It's
that I'm trying to make is like they're out there on the lawnmowers. It's 100 degrees outside, and they're in like full gear, and I'm like, damn,
yeah.
dude,
I see some.
legit. I get staying covered from the sun, but like they're wearing
Yeah.
black hoodies.
Right. I know. And I don't. It's like some people don't know that like the heat escapes from your head. Like, so don't put a cap on. I see people still like for the fashion, like wearing a cap and stuff. Like, what are you doing? I also saw a guy wearing a hoodie, but he lifted up the bottom and like took his arms out. So he was like wearing no shirt, but he still had the hood on. And I'm like, that's the worst part to keep on. What are you doing?
Yeah, but there's like those desert, like the Arabian Peninsula. A lot of people wear hoods, but they're also like breezy. They're breathable.
Yeah, they're like
Normally, hoodies are not
right,
breathable.
yeah, right. Those are like thin, so they let the air pass through.
Right. And you just protect from the sun, but you can still
Yeah,
feel the air. Right. Yeah.
yeah. I
So
don't know.
I don't know.
Mm,
Anyways, yeah, we're definitely not equipped for that. We are warm-blooded people. We don't know. We can't wrap our heads around that.
I wear a
So
t-shirt all the time.
all right, exactly. So anyways, to the drought. Let's talk about the drought. How have you been to the river lately? Because our river, like I live near the Minnesota River. I mean, like the Minnesota River runs through Chaska. I live in Chaska. So the Minnesota River is like fucking crazy low right now, and pretty much all of the bodies of water in general are
Yeah.
really low in this area, in southern mid part of the
Mm-hmm.
state. Have you been to your river? Because I know you fish the
Yeah,
river a decent amount.
The Mississippi, I haven't been to we also got the shoot, I can't think of it right now. It doesn't matter. I'll come back to it if I think of it. But there's a
Okay.
smaller river that I used to live
Mm,
like right on,
okay.
and that one's already shallow. So I don't think there's even any water in there. I don't know what it looks like one little stream. I don't know. But I'm
No
sure
shit.
there's points that have like some water, but that river was never that deep to begin with. And I've never seen personally since I've lived in St. Cloud, I've never seen the Mississippi this low.
Really?
Yeah.
You've been there
So,
for a minute, dude.
hmm yeah, it's
Holy shit.
crazy. Yeah, you can like just go down and like walk it. Like, I mean, there's still water. Like,
Whoa.
you can't walk everything, but like where there's points that you used to have to try to navigate through and find your
Mm-hmm.
way to the river
Mm-hmm.
because you couldn't get down there. Now you can just walk to the bottom, and like the first couple of feet are like all rocks and stuff.
Damn.
Just go wherever you want, pretty much. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
That's
it's nuts.
crazy.
Hmm.
Have you been
So
able to fish it, or like, I guess
I
generally speaking, like
I
what is the
haven't.
fishing now?
Yeah, so I haven't fished it for a while, but the one of the points that I fish a lot,
Mm-hmm.
that one's always pretty deep. Like
Oh, okay.
that one's above the dam, and the
Mm-hmm.
water above the dam is relatively deep. Like that's where you see a lot of boat traffic and stuff. At the bottom of the
Sure. Yeah.
dam, that water is so low.
Wow.
So like the water above the dam is low, but it's not.
Yeah, the dam's still doing its job in backing up water,
Right,
is what you're
right,
saying.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's sort of actually that's a really that's a tip when it comes to the river fishing. Like I didn't
Mhm.
even think about it. It wasn't my setup or anything like that. But like that's how I took it is like go and fish. Like if you can find a dam in the river, if it's low, just start walking up the river, follow the opposite of the flow, walk up the river and go find the
Yeah,
fucking dam. See if you can. Because
yeah,
likely there's still water above the dam.
yeah. There's almost. I think there's always water above the dam unless it gets real bad. I mean, if it gets to the point
Right.
where
Yeah, of
there's
course.
not, like that's terrible. But
Right. Well,
like
there could always be that it gets so bad they just open
yeah,
open it and let it flow natural
there's
too. So
water below the dam too because where the dam comes out, like a lot of fish will congregate to there, so it's almost like more concentrated because
mm,
as the water comes in, like they're
hmm
forced to be in one spot. And naturally, especially in rivers, when the water gets low, most of the fish, there's still some stupid ones, just like there's whales that get beached. Like you have a whole ocean. How did you fucking pull this off? But the water gets like it goes out and the fish just naturally know like I don't want to get stranded. So they head for
hmm
deeper water in the rivers.
right. hmm
But that's when it happens at a faster rate. Like if like tidal waters or
Like yeah, I was just gonna say like the 100 when we were talking about the 100 lakes from Bassmaster or not Bassmaster. That's the tournament. When we were talking about BASS and their 100 top lakes, where there were tidal lakes in there, and that's what you were saying is like fish will follow the tide. This isn't a tidal situation. I mean, this is months and months of no rain,
right, right.
weeks
Yep.
and weeks, I guess. But
Yep.
whatever.
Yep. But in that same regard, because you know that it is low, if you do end up getting rain, a lot of times the fish know that like there's a lot of stuff that's just waiting to get washed into the water. So
Okay.
when it rains, they'll swim up to the shallow points in the rivers and they'll
Oh.
try to feed on what's getting washed in, bugs or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
critters
Yep.
that are small enough for them to eat.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been seeing a lot of mice. Like people be fishing mice.
Yeah, there's mice lures. There's mice topwater lures.
Really?
Yeah, with the tail and everything. There's some real gnarly, like colored ones too. They're like some
What do you
people.
mean?
There's different
Like
companies
mice are
that
brown or gray?
I know, right? And that's like the same thing with like fishing lures. Like there's no fish that we fish around here that are bright colors, but you can still get
That are
bright
purple
colored.
and chartreuse, right?
Yeah, and I've seen like purple mice with like chartreuse tails because they have
No
big
shit.
long jointed tails. So the rat like swims and then the tail
Mhm.
wiggles with it. So it's just
Okay.
it's gnarly. I've never fished one of those before, but they have a bunch of different weird topwaters. You can get spiders and baby ducks and all sorts of
Really?
shit. Hmm.
Wow. I suppose baby ducks, muskies, huh? Probably go nuts for the baby ducks.
Baby ducks, pikes eat baby ducks a lot.
Pike.
You
Wow.
can find, yeah, muskies probably do, but they're not as aggressive as pikes. So people
Oh,
don't
okay.
see it as much.
Sure, sure.
Like you can. I don't know if they actually eat them, but there's like quite a few different baby loon colored musky lures.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if they actually eat baby loons, but
Right.
the biggest bass I ever caught, or the biggest muskie I ever caught, was after it ate a 2 pound bass. So I mean, they can handle eating a big fish.
So they can
So,
really get after
hmm,
it. That's a really good point. So with actually, funny enough, our intro video, like our when we started this, a year and some change ago, you were filming and a front moved in and it started to rain on you. And so like in the intro video, you're filming in the rain. You're talking about Real
yeah,
AFTV in the rain. And that was a nice rain. Like
it was coming
you knew
down.
you weren't in danger. There wasn't really like a lot of lightning from the
Right.
video.
Yeah,
I
no, it
mean, I don't
was,
know what it was, but like,
yeah, you got
would
it.
you recommend people in low level situations like we're in right now, low water situations like we're in right now? Is it good to just, hey, there's a rainstorm coming, like get your shit ready and go hit top water? Would you do that?
Well, yeah, you can fish stuff in topwater, but sometimes it's kind of hard to fish topwater baits unless they're big and they're making a lot of movement because when it's raining hard, there's so much movement on the surface, it's hard for the fish to find the bait. It's the
Oh,
same reason that you don't fish a topwater when there's heavy wind because they can't really see it. There's too much movement. So,
the movement of the bait is kind of drowned out or camouflaged, even if you want to say,
yes.
by the movement of the water.
Yep, that's a perfect way to
Mm,
put it. Not saying that you can't catch fish, but like when the water's calm, they can
yeah,
hone in on it from a lot farther away, you know?
right, right.
And the noise that it's making and the splashing, like it gets their attention. When there's rain, there's splashing all over the surface. That's all that's happening. So,
Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
yeah.
That's all that's happening.
Yeah. But you can go out and catch fish in the rain. I've fished in the rain. Like it never stopped me before, but I don't screw with
Mhm.
lightning. But it was one of
Right,
those
yeah,
nice rains, like
don't screw with
yeah,
lightning. Like, that was, like, the
yeah.
first thing I ever learned with a boat is just like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, no, it's raining. It
Yeah.
will be okay, but watch the horizon. If you start seeing or if you hear thunder, right?
Right.
That's the sh get
Yeah.
the fuck off the lake,
Yeah.
dude."
Because there's not lightning with every storm, but there is the potential. So like it's not necessarily safe. So like that's on you, you know. What
For sure,
you
for sure.
you make that decision, but I always fish when it rains. Like if you have the gear, if you can put on a raincoat or whatever, like if it's
Yeah,
not
oh,
lightning, I'll fish.
mhm.
But if it's lightning, no way, dude. I'm out of
No,
there. I'm not
get
messing
out
with
of
that
there.
at all.
No, no.
But yeah, this I wanted to say too before we like get off of rivers and stuff,
Mhm,
not necessarily a point for fishing them, but a point for down the road and kind of fishing them too because you can see the structure. When
okay,
the water's higher, there's a lot of like in the bigger rivers, there are rocks and the
mhm,
different structure that you can't see when the water's higher. So when the
mhm,
water goes lower, you can kind of tell where stuff is because of where the current, how the current's moving. So you're like, okay, like I know that there's something there that's breaking the current and whatnot. But if you see all the
mhm,
different rocks and stuff now, you
mhm.
can even take pictures for later on.
Oh.
Like when the water gets
Oh.
higher, if you fish the same areas a lot,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
can get a map of like those giant rocks aren't moving. So they're
Right,
gonna
right,
be
right.
there.
Even when the floods come in the spring, say if there are floodwaters in the spring, like we have a really good winter, like those rocks are huge, dude. They're
Hmm.
locked in. Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Those big rocks
Mhm.
are not moving. And a lot of fish like to sit behind the current breaks and wait. I should say smallmouth bass. I don't know a lot of
Okay. Yeah.
other stuff on the river, so I'm mainly
Mhm.
talking smallmouth here because that's what I know. That's what I go and fish the river for. So,
Sure.
but they'll sit behind that current break, which is the rock. The current goes past it and they can sit right behind it and not have to exert a lot of force. But the smaller
Sure.
stuff, if it gets in the current, it has no choice but to go with it. So they'll just sit there
Mm-hmm.
waiting for something to pass by.
Right.
And if you know where those rocks are and you can put them, like, there are certain spots that I know that have rocks on the river where I can literally go, if somebody hasn't been here recently, there's a fish behind that rock and I will catch it right now and like cast in and like pull that fish out. And it might not be the first
It's
cast
almost like
that,
a bet situation where you take
yeah,
somebody with you and you're like, bet I can catch a fish.
yeah, but I
They're
can
like,
catch a
yeah, right. I
fish.
got $5 says you can't. I
Yeah.
go, yeah. Oh, watch
Hey,
this.
you watch, boy. There's a fish right behind that rock and I'm about to pull it out. How much you want to bet? Your truck? Put your pink slip on the line. But it might not be the first cast, because temperamental smallmouths are like very on and off. But if
Oh,
they're
okay.
hiding in their current break, there's a decent chance they're waiting for some food,
Mm-hmm.
or at
Right.
the very least, an easy meal is going to get them to go. But you might have to try
Right.
a couple different things. But for the most part, like if you can just put a bait in front of them, they're gonna hammer it. So,
Nice. Nice.
but yeah, charting it out is such an awesome way to have an advantage over other anglers where
Yeah, dude.
they're out there fishing and you're just like, I know there's a rock there and there
Right.
and there. and
Mm-hmm.
and even now, like if the water's slightly deep enough and you're just seeing the peak of the rock, like
Mm-hmm.
exactly where they are. I can see, like, you can
Mm-hmm.
cast it
Mm-hmm.
behind all those rocks, even if they're small, where you didn't see current breaks before because the water was high enough. You were only seeing the big rock, you weren't seeing the small rock. They could still be there.
Oh, right. Good. Yeah. Hell, shit, dude. Good tip. Good. I never even thought about that, just generally speaking, but I have, like, as I see the pictures of the low waters, I do see all this exposed rock. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, they're rivers, right? And
Yep.
it's just like, it makes so much sense when I hear you say it, and then I think about a picture in my head, or I think about the river actually, because I've driven over the river 100 times now when it's been low, and I look at it and I can just picture in my head, I'm like, oh damn, dude, like that right there is an advantage. Like that's an advantage, as in like advantage me when the
Right.
water comes back.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
being able to see their habitat is a huge advantage. I mean, we have depth finders to find that stuff. But
Sure.
when the water's low and you can just map it out so because a lot of that stuff you're not trying to fish in a boat.
Well, that's what I was
This,
just gonna say. Actually, is a lot of river fishing. I don't, for me and you specifically, like in the where we can go fish the river fairly easily. You
yeah,
just you just drive up, and then you grab your rod, your tackle, and you get out and you just walk over there and you just start throwing.
yep,
And it's done from the shore. I mean, yeah, you can put a boat in there. You could,
yeah,
fine, but like you don't have to.
no,
There's some real
and
good shore fishing.
yeah, and where I'm talking about fishing, like above the dam, I see boats. Below the dam, I've only seen kayaks because
Mm. Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of spots that get too shallow. Like you just don't have enough room. Like you could have a boat in certain spots and then you get to a
Sure.
certain spot and you're stuck. So you only have a limited amount of space. And like nobody tries to play with the Mississippi, man. There's way too many big rocks on that side of it. Like
For sure,
there's
for
there's
sure.
like known spots where you're like, I can handle a boat here, even though I might hit a tree or two because there's always giant logs coming down the river. But I don't mess. If I get a boat nice enough, I don't think I'll ever drive on the river. Still,
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
try it in the little thing I got now,
Mhm.
where at any point in time I could just pull it off to the side and just pull it on shore.
Right.
But no
Yeah.
way, I don't trust
Not in an
rivers.
actual boat. Yeah. No, they're scary, dude. Let's get into some boring stuff and see if we can make it not boring.
All right.
uh, Mostly, I want to still talk. Like we're gonna keep talking fishing, of course. Duh, this is a fishing podcast. That's what we do. But the current drought, and it just goes back again to like you have to be an amateur meteorologist to be a good fisherman, and this is all from NOAA. All this information that I'm about to drop is from NOAA. And knowing this stuff, it applies directly to what you were just talking about when it comes to the river being low. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you follow so that you kind of do. have an idea of what you're getting into. 36% of the United States is in a severe or extreme drought as of June. We're almost in August now, and we haven't had any rain. So, holy shit. 47% of the contiguous U.S. state is in a moderate or extreme. So, that is the lower 48. 47%, almost half of our country right now, dude. I don't know if you have the doc up or not, but the map of this drought that came from NOAA is insane. And by the way, that's NOAA, NOAA, the weather service. It is from western Texas all the way over to California, all the way north, all the way to Maine. Like, it literally is the entire north, the entire west,
Mm-hmm.
and from west over to Texas, and even like decent, well, up to the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, basically. Like, there's so much lack, I guess, of rain that you can't even, it has to be 50% by now, because this was in June that they were reporting 47% of the lower 48
That's
was in a, this is literally from moderate to extreme drought. Look,
yeah,
are you seeing the map, Tim?
yeah. That's what I'm looking at right now. Like we're in
Yeah.
the light orange, and everything is like super crispy around here.
Yeah. So can you think of like what Nevada and Utah and stuff are going through
No,
right now? Like, look how bad.
I mean
Explain
they're
that big heavy dot right now in the like west central. Where is that? Like,
so it's like Nevada. I can't make it any bigger. It's like
oh,
it's like Nevada into it's like the middle of the middle and north of California has a chunk of the deep red,
oh yeah, yeah. Good point.
and Nevada, and then I don't.
Like the whole Southwest almost in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like everything over to Texas. It's all like there's blotchy. It looks like a weird camo
It does.
because it's just like all shades of like red and stuff. But it's
Yeah, it's like
almost
different shades of red in the Southwest. You're
dude.
right.
Yeah,
And we're in the yellow, and we're talking about how bad it is here. And
yeah,
they're like all weird shades of red. It's like, holy shit, dude. And we were just talking about how good a fishing there is in California. And now I'm kind of going like, oh, damn, dude, what is
right.
happening over there? I did not go into that detail in the research because, we're just talking about low fishing and the drought itself. But like,
Yeah, I
whew,
mean it's like yeah, it's gnarly. Like they're all like deserty states anyways, so I don't know how bad a drought like really changes it for them. Like I'm not
right.
trying to be like it doesn't
No,
matter,
I
but
understand.
it's like half of Nevada, Utah, and Arizona are like half are in the what does it say exceptional drought?
Uh, yeah.
Exceptional drought.
Yeah. Which is past
Past
extreme.
extreme. Past extreme. And then like so like all of California is in at least extreme almost.
Right. Yeah.
Same
And
with the
that,
same. Oh, Utah is completely. Utah is all exceptional with a sprinkle of extreme.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so gnarly.
That's so crazy. And Utah's fairly like a weirdly dry state, I think, for, I mean, they have mountains and stuff. They get a lot of snow, but
Right.
that part of California, that northern part that you pointed out, you're like, hey, even Northern California, it's like, dude, that's the section we were talking about in the episode with the Bass Top 100 Lakes. It seems like it was like
Right.
right around that area, that delta, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. That's
er,
crazy.
yeah, man. So 72% of minutes. This is from the Associated Press. It says 72% of Minnesota is in a severe drought. Did you hear that Gooseberry Falls basically
Like
dried up?
dried up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
trickle, and they actually, like the guy that was being interviewed, he from it was actually the AP, and then they quoted the Star Tribune, the local paper here in Minnesota. uh, he basically was just like, yeah, that thing's gonna dry up in August if we don't get any rain. It's like, holy shit, man, that is a waterfall destination location here in the United States, here in
Right.
the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. That's insane.
Whoa.
They're just like, hey, we might lose a waterfall. What?
Yeah.
I didn't
It's
know.
gonna be crazy.
I didn't know that like it wouldn't come back. Don't you think?
No,
I
it'll
guess
come
that.
back. I
Well,
mean, we
that's what
just
I
have
was
to
gonna.
wait for
Oh,
all
so
of
we
the
just might
yeah, yeah.
lose it completely, which is whatever. I guess I don't care. Like, as long as it's not killing the fish and stuff.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, not in this particular waterfall because there ain't no salmon jumping over
Yeah.
Gooseberry Falls. It's too big, but like that was another thing that when I looked it up, these migratory fish, man, they're getting fucked. Like the salmons, the brook trout, all these things like that
Yeah.
are hurting because these low, just what we started with talking about, these low rivers, man,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna fuck up these
Well,
migratory
those.
fish so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, and those are more cold weather fish too. Like they don't like the warm water.
Mm,
So when you got like shallow water with these temperatures, like there is no real cold water. So
ooh, mm-hmm.
that can be a real problem for those fish too. And there's like there's other tips too for like when you're handling fish like that
What do you mean
where
fish like that?
well fish like that like the colder water, but like really
Oh,
all fish at this point in time, most of them can handle it, like especially when you're like talking about lakes and stuff.
mm-hmm.
But the fish that are really affected by droughts and stuff, when you're catching them, they say that like you should have your hands wet, like you shouldn't be like,
Oh,
messing with them because they most of them have like a protective like slime on them, and
sure.
if they're already like
I mean, even down to the
uncomfortable,
bluegills, right? Like you catch a
yeah,
bluegill and
yeah,
it's not slimy.
right. And
It's
that's why I
not
said,
gross like a
yeah,
pike or anything like
yeah,
that.
and that's why I said most because like walleye don't really have much of a slime, but they might, but their
Okay.
scales are like rougher. So I don't know about all fish, but I know that like pike have a massive amount of slime and it's gross. They don't smell good. It's just like you catch a
Right, right,
big
right.
one and it's just dripping off of them, and you're trying to like smile for your photo, but you're like, oh, dude.
There's just the slime running down your hand
Yeah,
and you
you just see
reek.
it like dripping off the tail, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to hold this over the boat.
But so what you're saying is just kind of a generalization of like fish are highly affected by this. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there's low water levels. It's hot. Low water levels leads to like no cold water sections in some
Mm-hmm.
places. So there's like a handling procedure. What were you getting at
Yeah,
exactly?
yeah.
I
So I mean,
interrupted, I think.
basically, it's just like when you're catching a fish, like they're like, try to reduce the stress on them. So
Okay.
they're like, have your hands already wet. Like, don't go in with dry hands, like taking
Mm-hmm.
away from the moisture and the slime that they already have or whatever. Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we call it slime. I'm sure it's called some sort of like a,
It's called slime.
yeah, yeah, slime. You slimy fucks. But the, the other thing that I thought was funny, because I have seen it before, where they're like, oh yeah, try to minimize the fight time. Like, oh, like have you people ever fished before? Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, woof, and just swinging in the boat. Like I just had to get them in fast. Like that's not how it
Right.
works.
That's not.
Your
That's the
goal
only
is
thing
to,
you're trying to do when you're
yeah,
fishing
your
is trying to
goal
get
is
it
to
in as
try to,
fast as
yes,
possible.
exactly. I'm not just sitting there waiting for him to just like, oh, maybe he'll jump again. Like get him
Right.
in the boat, like because fighting a fish is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like that's part of the
Sure. That's the
lure of
adrenaline.
it. But landing a fish is so much better than fighting it. If I fight it for a while and it gets off, you're just like, damn it.
Right. You get pissed more than like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when people are, I watch a lot of ocean fishing on, I just watch a lot of ocean fishing. It's like that takes forever. It takes a long time to land a fish in the ocean.
It
It takes a
does.
long time to land a fish that muscular, that
Yeah.
big, that is meant to swim forever.
Dude, they drive backwards with those giant boats so they don't get spooled. Like
What? I didn't even.
you
I haven't. I watched so much deep sea fishing. How the fuck I
some
didn't even
yeah,
pick that
some
up
of
on?
those big giant fish, like they drive backwards with the boats once they get one on because they're trying to like minimize the amount of space that he runs. They're trying to keep the distance between him and or her, whatever, the fish,
The fish. Yeah.
and the fishermen as little as
Wow.
possible. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And they're just like, oh, just minimize the time. Like, okay. Like,
Like, yeah. What do you mean? Of course,
yeah.
that's the only thing anglers try to do.
Yeah. It's just,
Like, I don't know. That's a weird thing to say.
I know.
I don't know who's out there just like, watch this. I'm gonna let it run.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like,
You want to see
I
something
mean, I get it
crazy?
if you like.
Just
Yeah,
open
I
the
get it
bail.
if you're like pan fishing and then all of a sudden you snag, or you're pan fishing and a muskie decides like, "Hey, that's a pretty good size sunny. Bam. But like you're still trying to land it as fast as possible. It's not.
Right. Yeah, you're trying to land that muskie as fast as possible, but also like at that point, like your initial one was like, I'm trying to keep the sunny alive. Well, that didn't go so well. So now let's do our best to land this muskie and release him properly.
Right. So do you know, I mean, yeah, you gave good tips about like get your hands wet already and try to minimize their time out of the water, which you should try to just do that anyway. I think that's just good handling, just fish handling practice anyway.
Yep.
But um is it, when it comes down to something like landing a muskie or something like that, like is it sort of like you should use a net too to try to get it out of the water? Is there anything else that I'm just like not thinking of, being the non-fisherman?
So
I'm
like,
not trying to put you on the spot, by the way. I'm
yeah.
literally just like asking a question I'm super curious
No,
about because I don't know all of the methods.
yeah, no, like the best method with like a bigger fish, and really honestly, if you're trying to do it with all fish, is if you had a net big enough to scoop them in the net, but don't even lift them out of the water. Just leave,
Oh,
so they're like contained in the net, but then they're still in the water. So then you're like really minimizing the amount of time that they spend out of the water. Like
right.
bass fishing, you can kind of like you pull them in, you just pop the hook out and you can toss them back in. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
nice big one, net them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're in a tournament, there's certain tournaments that you can't use nets, so that's a different story. But
Sure.
net them if you can, and just try to keep them in the water because that helps a lot. Even with muskies, for a while there, they were like, "Oh, try to use a cradle," and a cradle is like
Oh,
almost.
let me maybe take a swing at this. Is this sort of the thing that they use for, because if you've listened to our Dreamfish episode, I see them with sturgeon all of the time. Like, dude, they lift
Oh,
dolphins out of tanks and shit with this. Is
yeah,
that what it
dude.
is?
Yeah, yeah. It's like a
Yeah.
small
Okay.
version of it. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say that it's what they move Free Willy in.
That's the reference that everybody's going to understand. That's the goal of Real AF TV right there. So
Yeah.
make it so everybody can understand and go out and do
Right.
the shit. The Free Willy reference. Nice one.
So yeah, like that's one of the things. But I heard that those aren't necessarily the greatest for the fish because they can like rub off the slime, and you got to put them in the cradle. Like you're almost like pinching that thing and lifting them out of the water right away. If you
Mm.
just have a really big net, you just let them
Mm-hmm.
sit in there so you can get them in the water. Because a lot of times, by the time you're landing one of those fish, they're already worn out, so they're not going to do too much. So you can just keep it.
Sure.
A lot of times, like the musky nets, like the one I have, is big enough that you can scoop the fish and you can kind of like set the net on the side of the boat, and it's the muskie's still in
Nice.
the water.
Oh,
I haven't caught a
because
lot
the
to
like net
try that,
itself
but
is so far, like the net itself is so big that it dangles far enough away from the aluminum handle or
yeah,
wood
yeah,
handle or whatever that it
yep,
still hits the water.
right, exactly. And musky
Nice.
nets aren't necessarily cheap, but you really should try to have the right net for what you're going for.
Oh, sure.
One size does not fit all for the fish. You got to have a big enough net to handle a muskie, and if you have the net big
Mm-hmm.
enough for the muskie, the holes are bigger, and the
Mm.
smaller
Mm-hmm.
fish will swim not all the way through. Like, I mean, if it's real small, it will, but the smaller fish will like get their head stuck
Mm-hmm.
through,
That.
and their
Mm-hmm.
gill plates
That's what I was gonna
are
say.
there, so their heads will go through, but they don't want to come out easy. I learned this from
Yeah, you
experience.
have that like that reverse like trap thing, right? Like a small
Yeah.
game trap is you can go in, but you can't come back out, or like crab pots. I watch a lot of Deadliest Catch. You can go in, but you can't come out because you can go through one way, but there's that reverse catch that you can't get out of it, right? Is that what you're saying? Like the
Yeah.
head will go one way through the net, but as you try to pull the bass out of the musky net, its gills will kind of reverse catch on the net, and
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
in a bad situation.
Yep, where it's not too big of a deal, but like in a, in a time like this where you're already trying to minimize the stress, like
Right.
trying to like fold it in. And bass, like it can happen, but it's more so walleye and northern for sure. Like we talked about with that slime,
Sure.
they're already
Sure.
lubed up. They just thump.
Right through one of those musky holes.
Yeah, because I learned that from, when you're musky fishing, you catch pike. It happens.
Sure, of
So, and
course.
then you're like, I brought the big net. Well, I guess I'm going to try to net him, because sometimes I'll use smaller baits and we'll just have like a leader material and not an actual leader,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that I catch a fish, and just, crossing my fingers it doesn't take the whole thing in its mouth, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the fishing's slow and I'm like, well, I'll try to downsize, and then I catch a lot of pike, and then the pike, I'm
Ah,
just like, they got sharp teeth, and I just try to get them in the net as fast as possible so I'm not losing my lure. So
right.
even though they're not that big a pike, I'm not trying to like boat land them or hand land them. I just get them in the net, and then they get their heads stuck, and you go, shit, I need to bring the small net next time too, I guess.
Right. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, and it all comes back to like the drought is like all about minimizing when you're doing this, because I don't know enough about, musky fishing and stuff like that, but if the if the water's warm, the fight is going to make them warmer. And I
Yes.
don't know like what kind of situations, I don't know what kind of situations you're necessarily catching your muskie in, but like, are they, where's their normal temperature? I mean, are they living in the colder, deeper waters, or like they're up because they're predator fish?
Yeah, they're predator fish, so they're where the other fish are. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like the king shit of the lake. So they're kind of
Right.
wherever they want to be. They're shallow sometimes. They suspend in the middle of the lake. Sometimes they'll
Oh,
be
okay.
deep in the
Mm-hmm.
weeds. Sometimes it's kind of just depending on the day. So they're kind
Yeah.
of wherever they want to be.
So,
So it's the same for a lot of different fish. Like they prefer one temperature, but they'll take discomfort over, or they'll take discomfort over
yeah,
not eating.
right.
So they'll
Yep.
go where the food is. But the
They'll
muskies
just go
are,
where the food is.
yeah, they're in the shallow. You can find them in the bright sunshine, like roaming the flats, like no weeds at all.
Wow.
It's like you don't see
Really?
any other fish out there, and they're just like
Uh-huh.
going from point A to point B, because
Just swim looking for food.
it's almost like they're a fisherman too, where they're just like,
Right.
I think the best food's gonna be over here today.
That's awesome. One thing that I know that we don't know much about, and we probably have to get a guest on for this, but like the shallow waters like are good for spearfishing, bow fishing, like
Mm,
rough fish, man. They just swim through like nothing. I've just watched enough nature videos where you will see a body of water being created in a grass field.
right.
Like that was a grassy field, and then it rained a ton upstream. And now
Mm-hmm.
that grassy field is a very, very shallow river. It's running water through a grassy field.
Yep.
Watch a carp just fucking
Mm-hmm.
right through that shit.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
4 inches of water, I got this. Like, what
Yep.
the fuck, dude? It's so
Yeah.
it's so crazy. So like this is actually probably a decent time for rough fish. I would guess you'd go out and get some rough fish
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this sort of situation.
Yep.
That
And
were
it was the Sock River is the one that I was thinking of before. And
oh nice.
that's when I would see those fish. I think I talked about it on the podcast before, where they're just like rutting through this stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, for
and
sure.
that was like when the water was kind of low. And it was never like this before, so I don't know what it would be like that. But yeah, I could
Sure.
stand on the side of the river and just see them like ravaging those weeds.
Wow.
So, and that's probably part of it, where it was like shallow and they wanted to get to a certain point.
Yep.
and they're just swimming their ass off because they're too big to
Right.
like. They're partially out of the water at that point almost, and they're just like, I'm
Right.
gonna
Yeah,
eat
for real.
this fucking food.
Yeah.
But
It's crazy.
so the weird thing I wanted to say too, like when you're out there fishing, is that like topwater baits work pretty well at this time
Mhm.
because A, just like in the summer it works, but B, it's like when it's shallower water and stuff, it's like almost the bait fish and the food and everything is just kind of like on the surface, like with
Mm.
the different
Mhm.
critters and whatnot will go in
Mhm.
there. But the
Mhm.
weird thing is too, when it rains, like after a rain, then they're also looking for like topwater stuff.
Right.
So like just when in doubt, topwater seems to work. So, but yeah, like you were talking about with the water raises up too, the fish move in way shallow because then they're just looking for stuff to eat.
Mhm.
And you can have like how you were talking about where the water goes up, you can have it go up and create
Mhm.
like a pond, and then like the water recedes and then there's just a pond in the farmer's field that
Oh.
actually has fish in it now. You can go
Right,
fish
right.
those.
Yeah, yeah, because that's exactly
Yeah.
it with the rough fish, like I said, they'll swim wherever the water is. Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
that they'll go where the water is, and
Yeah.
the stream they came in on just dries up, and it's like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. In the springtime that happens a lot because of how like the snow melts. So you'll
Right.
get
Yep.
like crazy amounts of water come in real fast and then go out real fast, and it catches some of the fish off guard
Yep.
and then they get stranded. So,
Makes for good fertilizer, I would assume, because that's
right.
50% of what rough fish are used for anyway.
Yeah, yeah. That's what they push for if you catch them. They're like, if
So
you're
I've
not going
been
to eat
meaning
them.
to ask you this for weeks, just generally speaking, anyway, on obviously on the podcast because it's content, but I just curious. Um, your lake that you fish primarily has been, how do I say, overflowing
Flooded. Yeah, dude.
for like
Overflowing.
2 years, it seems like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what has the drought done to that and your fishing? Because I mean, that's where you do most of your fishing over the summer,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Right. You are correct. And not a whole lot, man.
No
It's,
shit.
yeah, no, there's still quite a few. I do see a water line. There's one cabin at the end of the road that my parents have their cabin on, and
Hmm.
there's a water line that's like 2 feet difference on their door,
Wow.
but that cabin's still in the water.
Holy
I
shit.
know,
No
right?
kidding.
Yeah, some people are super fucked. Like
Wow.
a
Like that will
drought.
never go away. I mean, there would have to be some kind of human intervention to like create a river at this point almost, it
Yeah,
seems like.
that's what they're trying to figure out because it's been like consistently going up. Like there's been droughts like this where it drops down, but then it goes up, and then it drops down, and it goes up, and it drops down, and it goes up, and
But when it
but it
goes up, it never drops down to the old drop down point.
nope, it just keeps going up. Eventually, like
Shit.
it just keeps going up and up and up, and they've seen this trend
Mhm.
happening.
Mhm.
And I'll put this one on the powers that be. Whoever's been paying attention to this stuff, those same people are the ones that are coming out and just like, do you have a permit for raking your sand? Like, you guys maybe want to make sure that the like all these cabins don't get flooded first.
Like there's a lot of property damage that's happening right
Yeah,
now.
just yeah, like one
Don't
year
worry
the
about the fucking
yeah
rake.
one year the ice shelf like moves stuff, and all of a sudden there's somebody like knocking at the door, and I'm just up there like to fish on like a weekday. This was when I had a job where I would get a weekday off a week,
Mhm.
and I go up there to fish, and they're just like, hey, we were just wondering about what's all been done up here. And I'm just like, they just raked. And I don't know, the neighbors look like they've done different stuff, but I don't know what they did. Like, my parents raked, and they're like, you guys need to get permits for all this. And I was like, we need to get permits to rake. And then they were like, all you did was rake. And it's like, I don't know how many times I have to say rake. Like, I'm not quite sure what's not getting through here. But then they're just like, yeah, no, you don't need permits to rake. And then it's like, that's fantastic. Can I go fishing now, please?
Right. You're in my way.
Yeah, thanks for coming up here on a Tuesday and talking. Like, you guys know I'm not here to just like relax. I don't live here. It's a minimum maintenance road. Nobody lives here.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like they know that it's cabin property, and it's not.
Yeah.
That's probably someone from like the association or some shit. It's not a DNR officer just coming up there and being
No,
like,
but they had a DNR officer with them. There was an officer,
they
a
did.
lady with a clipboard, and somebody else. And the lady with the clipboard was the Karen that was like, "Yeah, we're here, we're here, we're here." You're just like, I am high as fuck right now, Karen. I'm not.
I just want to go fishing
I
while
need
I'm a
to go.
little bit tipsy.
I came up and went fishing. I was just thinking about that today. Like, this is completely random off topic, but I was thinking about like how people are just like, we need to get more kids out there fishing because it keeps them off of the drugs. And it's like, yeah, but fishing on drugs is pretty fucking cool.
I can say this in my entire adult life. I've never been drinking without beer. And if you think that's not a drug, then you're fucking high yourself.
You never been, oh, you mean you never been fishing without beer?
What did I say?
You never been drinking without beer.
Both of those are still true.
Both of those. I've never been drinking without beer, and I've never been fishing without fish. So your move, partner. I don't know.
Oh shit, man. All right. Well, let's keep the laughs going by cutting over into the second half where we are going to talk comedy with our first guest of all time, Sioux Falls Funniest Man, a great dude, a producer, a generally funny guy, a dad, and hopefully I can do that intro that well when it comes to the second half.
Yeah.
I will now leave you with this bit of information.
Did you have some info?
No. I was just going to let a pregnant pause hang out there for a while and see how long I could let that go.
I was going to say like
I had nothing.
Fair practice use or whatever. We can listen to 13 Seconds Free Willy song, right?
Yes. I think it's only 10 seconds, but
that's enough, Michael.
That's enough, Michael. To the break. And we're back from the break. It's the Real AF TV podcast, a show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. Tim?
Yeah.
What do you think? We got our first guest, buddy.
I'm super excited.
Hults is here. Comedian. Sioux Falls Funniest Man. What?
Yeah, you're the first, dude.
Oh, I'm the first guest?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. So let me do your sweet, sweet intro that I've been working up for 2 weeks. Comedian extraordinaire, stand-up comedian, Sioux Falls Funniest Man 2016, Snow Jam comedian. No, so and I screwed it up. Enter South Dakota's. Wait, here.
Let's start over.
We have on the show, and I'm keeping this all in just so you know, in case you guys are curious, this is all staying in the podcast. So we go live to tape. We're just keeping it in. Today, we have Sioux Falls Funniest Man, stand-up comedian, stand-up guy, podcaster, and dad, of course. We're all dads here. So
we are.
We brought him on because he's just a funny guy, and we want to be more funny. I don't know if that's not why you brought you on. We are genuinely interested in what's going on in your life. Nathan Hults, what's going on?
I told my wife I was doing a podcast tonight, and she's like, "Oh, what's the podcast about?" I was like, "Fishing." She's like, "They wanted you?"
They wanted you.
Yeah, so that's how we start this out with all our guests, especially in the random take when we're here to talk about comedy in general. We just go, so how much you been fishing lately?
Yeah.
I haven't fished since since you had to get a license to do it.
Wow, so 16.
Which is 16 years old.
It's I've been longer, been alive longer, twice as long as the last time I've been fishing.
Yeah.
I didn't have
Well,
a good time fishing growing up though, because like my uncle was like, "Shh, you scare the fish," and it was like last year I was like, I don't think fish have ears.
Yeah.
I don't think they can hear you. I don't think fish can hear you. You just wanted me to shut up.
Yeah.
You just wanted me to shut
Pretty
up.
much. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure fish don't have ears.
I do to my nephew. Just, dude,
Yeah.
the fish are gonna hear you for sure.
Yeah, you just scare the fish. I'm like, oh my god, that's so terrible.
Yeah.
We got to sit for another hour. This is bullshit.
Proof that we've moved into dad zone already there, Tim, that you're just like you're passing that on. You're that uncle now.
Well, I have to be, dude. They get like I don't know how old you were, Nathan, when you were out there fishing, but you're sitting there and you're trying to fish, and they're just like, "Hey, well, that guy on that that plays that guy that has the Pokemon that plays the Pokemon Go, is it did he know the things or whatever?" And you're just like, "The fish can hear you, dude. Just chill."
You gotta chill, buddy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pokemon, Nate, you said that you picked Bulbasaur at the beginning of Pokemon on your podcast that you have with John. Sorry, what's John's last name?
John Michaels.
John Michaels, the Town Crier podcast. That's
he's like Sean, but John Michaels. He's a
Yeah.
he's a recovering gay Republican, not from being gay, but from being Republican.
not from
It
being
could have
gay.
went either way. They're just like, he's one of those Republicans that they sent to the straight camp. He's recovering.
He's an old comedy pal that we have a lot in common, but we also argue about everything. So and then we just talk about what we cry about. Like, we both love to cry. I think crying's amazing. I like, oh my god, give me a Progressive commercial any day. State Farm, forget about it. Oh, but also like Disney movies and stuff. But also like, just things in our day, like last week I my daughter said something nice and I was like, just, heavy cry. So we talk about that. And then we also talk about what made us smile.
Yeah.
For the Town
it's
Crier podcast.
Yes.
For a big
right. Yes. I love your concept. And I caught it the other week, and you said that you are a Bulbasaur. You picked Bulbasaur in Pokemon.
I did. All my friends were Charmander.
Nobody picks Bulbasaur.
Everyone was a Charmander in Glencoe anyway.
Oh.
Right? Everybody was playing red. I'd get blue. Just because, like, you had a little different switch. And I just wanted to be a utility player in my Pokemon friend group. You know what I mean? Like, you need a Bulbasaur? Guess what? I got trained up. Here we go. I got you, guy. I'll start over. Oh, you need a Pidgeot? Motherfucker, I got you. Fix Pidgeot. Because Frank wants one too. I was just trying to train them all with different abilities. I got you, baby. You want to put it on your on your printer? Remember your Game Boy printer? Let's print it off. Yeah, let's do this.
Deep cut, dude.
Do you have the cable that costs $80? Do you remember the $80 USB cable?
Why was the cable more than the game itself? That's crazy. So, I just want to kind of talk about what's that?
What did you pick?
Oh, dude, you guys got me. You got my balls in a vice grip here. I don't play Pokemon except for Pokemon Go. My wife and Tim get along way better on that. So I'm in line with the Pokemon game. I don't play though.
Yeah, I've been playing from day one, and I've always been a fire starter. Like, doesn't matter which game it is, I go fire.
Fucking Prodigy over here.
I was gonna say electric fire. Sorry, but you got me. Yeah,
fire. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Unless
Like-
it was yellow. Pokemon Yellow, you had to do Pikachu or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I went back and played Yellow later when there was like a emulator. Like you could just put a Game
Sure.
Boy emulator on your phone. All right. And then it's really hard to go back and play it after you played the newer ones where you get like bicycles and you can move fast and stuff. You go back to the
Yeah.
old one and you move so damn slow.
How did I have this much time?
Right, exactly. You're just like, I have to go from which town to what town? This is gonna, oh, you just stop
It's gonna
playing.
take me all
You
day.
just stop playing right there. I just do not
Yep.
have time to walk in this.
No, I'm not going to Meridian City. Whatever you.
No,
Right.
I'm setting up shop
Right.
where I'm at now, and this is as far as we go.
Yeah.
Can I just become a gym trainer in this game?
Make my own gym. It'd just be the bridge gym, Tent City. I'll set it up under the bridge.
That's it. Anyways, let's. I'm gonna bring it back now. You were down here in my neck of the woods last weekend, right, Nathan?
Yeah,
To the Mall of
yeah.
America. That's not too far from me.
Mall
You
of
were at
America,
Rick
baby.
Bronson's, right?
Rick Bronson's House of Comedy for the World Series of Comedy competition.
Nice.
Dude. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So
It was a lot of
like,
fun. That contest is a sham because I didn't win.
oh,
Yeah.
because you didn't win.
It's rigged.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously I'm the best, and I didn't even move on. So like, it's obviously rigged.
Yeah. It's just, ugh.
And it
It's just
doesn't
like-
help that I went overtime.
Oh,
So I got a couple
did you get
points
flashed
knocked
a couple
down.
times or what?
Yeah.
How much overtime?
Yeah, I was-
Whoops.
How much do they give you?
You get on that. You got 8, and I think I hit 9.
Oh, so they're
Right.
pretty picky on that, huh?
Well, yeah. So comedy is kind of weird. Like, there's a lot of psychology around comedy, and like the rules that you can break, but you have to break them in a certain way. One of the rules is a 90-minute show. Anytime a show is 90 minutes, hour and a half, you're losing the audience. We as
Really?
humans have about a 90-minute consciousness, right? Think about every movie that's longer than a 90 minutes.
Right.
Yep.
Like, they all like, oh, it's a long movie. Like, it's only
Right.
10 minutes longer than this movie, but yeah. It's still
You give up on it
Takes
before you even start it.
yeah. If you look at that runtime on Netflix, you're like,
Yeah.
hour and a half, cool.
Right.
Yep.
45 minutes over that, fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
I got shit to do. I'm
Right.
gonna watch this and look at my phone for that long.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've been doing that with that Irishman movie. Is that what it was? Irishman? The Irishman?
Yep, on Netflix.
I just
Yeah,
keep
the
looking
new,
at it like they cast everything about it. I want to watch this movie. And then every time I see it's like 3 hours and I just go, shit. I just can't.
Yep.
I can't do this.
I've been watching stuff in shifts now.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'll just watch stuff on my lunch break, and like, so it's like half hour, 40 minutes. I'll just watch something. All right, time to go and get back into it.
Yep.
like the actual like something like 3 hours long and just break it up into like
I just
30-minute
watch.
chunks.
Yeah, streaming. It picks up where you left off, so it's not like
Right.
I'm carrying a DVD around. So it's like I'll just watch this portion. And like, okay, that's enough.
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. So I want to talk about I'm going to bring us back again here. I want to talk about the rules and the psychology and stuff about comedy, because
Okay.
you had a club for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I sold the
You still
club.
one?
I sold Boss's Comedy Club in August. So I
really?
started it 3 years ago. October? Yeah, 3 years October. It'll be 3 years in October. 4 years in October.
Okay.
I don't remember. Time is relative. But yeah, I sold it in August. So they just wanted to spend more time with my daughter, and they were moving to a new location. I wasn't super thrilled about the time commitment that location would require. And so we were just kind of going different ways.
Sure.
So I wanted to, and I'll be honest with you, I'm terrible at it. I am not a businessman. I am a real bad businessman. like even when I was a kid, like my parents, we'd do like a lemonade stand. I'd do like a lemonade stand, and my
Yeah.
parents would give me like starter cash to like make change, and then at the end of that, I would just give that to all my friends because it looked like we made money. You know, we sold like 3 lemonades, and they're walking out with like $6. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm a bad businessman. Always has been.
I was hoping you weren't going to say comedian because I was just like, wait, what? Aren't you still doing that?
I'm very good at comedy. I'm very good.
How did you even start into that? Like, how did you end up getting into that? Just seeing, how do you start stand up? How did you start stand up comedy specifically? I guess.
Mine's a little weird for most people. I went to college at Augustana College in Sioux Falls. That's what took me away from the wonderful township of Glencoe, Minnesota.
Right.
And
Which is where we all met, by the way. We
yeah,
all loosely
are you
kind of
not there,
we know
Tim,
each
anymore?
other.
Where are you, Tim?
I live in St. Cloud.
Oh, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, close enough.
It's yeah, I mean, in that part of the world, like Hutchinson, Minnesota, and Glencoe and Biskie and all, they're just all one town. Like you exist,
one
you
big area.
coexist in the same, you know. Are you still in LaBaw? Are you still in Glencoe?
No, I'm out in Chaska now.
Chaska.
Chaska.
Fancy.
Chaska.
Oh man. Go to that community center. Go down that water.
Love the community center, dude. We're probably taking my daughter there this weekend, and I am so jazzed to take her swimming. I'm just so.
Is that
we'll
the
get
first
into dad
time?
talk later. Sorry.
No,
we've been swimming already a few
Okay.
times, so yeah, we can have dad talk later.
I'm sorry. I keep derailing this.
I'm genuinely interested too. I'm not just trying to like make a show here. I'm dead seriously.
When I went to college, I was doing improv comedy because in high school I did called Just Say No Improv, where basically we went to like other schools, like the middle school, and did like skits about how you shouldn't bully and don't do drugs and all that kind of stuff. Right. And it's like it's a brand of improv where you don't really improvise, you just improvise the words, but the story's all laid out.
I did the
I've never heard
same
of that
shit
before.
except for
Okay.
no words. It was so dumb. We did the opposite, where everybody's like, he's throwing a football now, and then he's like, just like it was so dumb. Nobody knew what we were doing.
Yeah, it was a weird club. And so I was like, oh, I can do that in college because I was, you know, good at that. So I did that in college, and then I took a year off to go to rehab, and then
sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. That
no, it's funny. I said it funnily. Yeah. I made it. I said words funny. I call it my sabbatical. So then I went back to college and did another year, and all my friends who stayed in college were graduating because that's
gone.
what happens is the world continues after you leave, you know, a place.
True.
And so I came back, and so all my friends who I improvised with all this time were leaving, and I had no one to like. I didn't want to start over with like these new kids, you know, who are probably great, but I just didn't feel like. So I was like, I got to figure out how to do this by myself, and so I did an independent study. I got college credit to learn stand up. And basically, I got college credit to just like watch George Carlin and like stand up clips.
No shit.
Like it was homework to watch Comedy Central Presents.
Nice.
Like,
no way.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
I would have taken that class.
And so what you have to do is you have to create your own itinerary, or like a what is it called? The thing that, syllabus. And you have to create your own syllabus, get it approved by a thing. So we had to come up with some goals for the class, and the goal was not knowing anything about stand-up. I mean, I had watched it always, but like not knowing anything. I was like, all right, I think I can do 20 minutes at the end of this semester.
That's a lot.
So that's
that
a
seems
lot
like
of time.
set, dude.
That's a lot of time. And so I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I consumed, and then I would go in front of the professor. It would just be me and this, you know, very nice but 65-year-old woman who I know very well, who I used to like babysit her cats. I would just tell her my jokes, and she would like direct me. She'd be like, "That's not very good," or like, "Do you think you have to say fuck here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck is integral."
Yeah.
Like,
It's important.
so she kind of like directed me. And then our improv group, we also did a study, like an independent study for that, like an advanced improv group, and we did like a final for that, and I opened for that group. And so our final show, I opened as my first show, and we had sold out the theater at college. So 322 seats. There was not a seat
Nice.
left in the house at 11 p.m. Like I think we did like during finals time, we did like 11 p.m. show. And so I just go up and do stand up for 20. I think it came out to be 18 and a half minutes.
Wow.
In front of 322 people my first time.
Jeez. We've only been talking for 18 minutes basically on the recording.
That is a
like,
lot.
This is 3 people, dude, and that was your opening night,
my first
an 18-minute set. Jeez.
That might be some sort of a record, man. I haven't heard of anybody doing 18 minutes their first time.
Sinbad did an hour and a half his first time.
What?
Yeah, Sinbad's crazy. If you ever listen to Sinbad tell stories, Sinbad is a crazy motherfucker. Like he is a wild human being. Sinbad claims he did an hour and a half his first time.
That's insane.
I mean, was that even?
I feel like we got like the three of us have like good banter. Like we could talk, we could drag this podcast on for probably 2 hours, and it would be something people would probably listen to. And I mean, we haven't even, sat down and talked like this forever or ever. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that's 3 people. This is a conversation. A stand-up set is not a conversation, right?
It's a back and forth.
It is.
Well, yeah, the feedback you get
is a one-sided conversation, right? And a good stand-up will make you feel like you're part of that conversation.
For sure. Yep.
Right? Like the biggest thing, the best thing like you can do after, like if someone was like think about all the comedians you recently watched. Like, I want to hang out with that dude. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to hang out with that dude. And that's because you guys just connected, right? The only difference is he connected with all of you, and you felt that connection, that human connection with just one person.
One person. Sure.
You know what I mean? So that it's a one-sided conversation. That's all it is. You just listen to a blowhard talk for an hour, and you know what I mean? Like you like what he had to say. So that's all that is. Yeah.
Is that something that you pick up on as you're going, or like, did you know this going into it? And I mean, as you're going, like you have this class, you have,
well, it wasn't a class,
your 18-minute.
So like,
say again?
It's just me like reading a couple books on like how to comedy, but mainly like watching people and writing down what they're doing. Literally just studying. But yeah, you learn, you pick up on that. I've been doing this a long time, and comedians love to talk about comedy. If you want,
perfect. That's what we got you on here for.
There's 9 million podcasts with comics just saying, this is this and this is that. We all love the pontification, right? We all have our own theories and our own stuff like that. But
for sure.
That's, I don't know, like you just kind of pick it up as you go. That's the thing about starting comedy. Like everyone always asks, what do you got to do to start doing comedy? And it's not the sexy answer. It is go do it.
Go. Yeah.
There's you can soak up as much information as you want when you get started, but the difference between a funny person and a comedian is a person who gets on stage and has a notebook.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. You say something funny, write that fucker down, and then go say it again.
Go crowd work it. Crowd work's a different thing. That was a bad word for this particular situation.
Yeah, go get it up on its feet is a good way to say that. Okay. But like, it's there. there is nothing you can do to prepare yourself more than just being in front of people and holding a room.
Yeah.
Sure.
We can
We're-
talk about all the other things you can do to get better. The best thing you can do is get on stage.
Just go on stage.
And if you're thinking about doing it, no one's like 20 years into this and be like, I'm glad I waited that extra 6 months.
Right.
No one's
Very good
like,
point.
no one's like, man, I'm glad I waited that week. I didn't want to start that week
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
You know, like no one, just go do it. And honestly, if you're thinking about doing it, which I'm getting the feeling you're thinking about it, Josh.
No, not me.
No?
No.
Tim?
No,
I've
I mean,
thought about
Tim?
it multiple times, but I'm so like I have anxiety issues the way it is, and
Sure.
getting up on stage is so goddamn scary sounding. Like I gave the best man speech at Josh's wedding, and I missed my only joke. I had one written down and I didn't tell it, and I'm like, and then after it, because I told a couple of people, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, yeah, dude, that's funny, go with it. And then afterwards, they're like, where was the joke? I didn't even realize I didn't tell it. I'm just like, oh shit, no, I didn't even say it, did I?
That
That gets
so-
better. I don't know.
It's like me and Tim have always had sort of like a banter group, I guess, and me and him, I
Sure.
felt like we're always kind of like the head of that, which is kind of how we ended up starting podcasting, right? And you said you improved. So
Yeah.
when you were younger, like in high school and stuff, Nate, did you like, was there a lot of banter? Like, did you have a group of people you just bantered with, or was that in college, or did banter even happen? I guess I'm imposing that.
Yeah, we didn't know it was banter. But yeah, I mean, I remember hanging out with you guys and shooting the shit. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
holding
Mhm.
court. There was always something you just wanted to make your friends laugh.
For
Right?
sure.
You just say
Yeah.
ridiculous shit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not proud of some of the stuff I said when we
Oh,
were
no.
bantering, but
No, behind
know what I
closed doors is a different story.
Yeah, for sure.
still learning what, what's funny and what's not funny. But no, I think that's exact. I mean, there's not a person that I can think of in stand-up comedy that wasn't trying to be the funny guy in the friend group anyway.
Yeah.
And that's actually what the comedians go for. Like there's this big thing of pride when you make the whole group of comics laugh, because they sit in a different area and they laugh very differently, right?
Sure.
So we tell some comics like some of the newer guys, like, hey, right now you're going to the back of the room, right? And those people didn't pay. like let's just bring the jokes just a little bit more forward. Like if you're playing jokes to the back of the room only, you're gonna get a lot of love from your friends, but they're not gonna put on the paid shows because you're not doing well to the audience.
Right.
That's
the sort of insider stuff that I was like, because I don't want you to think that I like invited you on here to say like, hey, how can me and Tim get into stand up? No, I didn't. That's not what I wanted the impression. I seriously wanted to hear your backstory, but like that sort of insider stuff, because you said you had the club and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's the kind of stuff I just love to hear, because I watched, did you guys watch Bo Burnham's Inside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I watch that and it has none of what we just talked about, because he's literally locked himself in a room because we're in a global pandemic, and he made a comedy special. He took all of the production into his hands and made it. None of the crowd work. And I was just like, wow, that is so different, because everything I know about comedy is the feedback, right?
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, in no way am I undercutting this comedy special, right?
Sure.
In no way am I trying to do that, right? But do you remember Bo Burnham? Like how we met Bo Burnham?
Yeah, he was a
We met
stand-up
Bo-
comedian, and then he'd go play the piano, right?
No, He
No?
was a YouTube star. He was the first YouTube star to become a comedian.
Oh,
Really?
what?
I don't remember the YouTube
Yeah.
stuff.
So he became famous doing YouTube videos in his bedroom.
No
He makes
kidding.
references to it, right? Here I am alone inside my house again. Right? He talks about that.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So
Huh.
that's how Bo Burnham started. And then what happened was he turned 18 and
Yep.
he was starting to be able to go out to the clubs as an adult. Right? And so
Okay.
clubs started booking him because he had all these funny, silly songs. And then what he would do is he just spent a lot of time doing that, traveling the road, honing that. And he became an amazing stage performer along with a very technical stage performer. His shows, his live shows are a spectacle. They're
Yeah.
very theatrical, right? He's always had a big lighting presence. He's always had
Sure.
a lot of like digital jokes because that's how he wrote. That's how he came up. He had edits to make funny,
Yep.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That's why he's such a good director. Did you see 8th Grade?
No.
Mm-mm.
It
I
is
heard
it
about
is
it.
a
I heard that he directed a movie and I just
he directed
never
a movie and it is phenomenal. Like it's
Yeah.
a powerhouse acting. It's not very funny, but like there's a few moments of comic relief, but like it's about like a girl trying to navigate social media in 8th grade.
Oh boy.
Okay. I
Wow.
never
So,
even
like,
heard of it. I'll have to check it out.
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's called 8th grade.
Okay.
But
Okay. Yeah,
so
I'll
like
look that up.
so him doing this, there's not a lot of other comics that could have pulled that up. But like to me, it was a great special, but it wasn't that
Mhm.
impressive because it's not
Mhm.
outside of his realm of what we know of Bo Burnham.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. To me, I just look at it like you gotta look at it as it being a comedy special. It's
Yeah.
not stand up. It's just there's some humor over his very good ideas of how to shoot stuff. And
Yeah.
just like I found humor in just even the lights that he used. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
just to laugh
sure.
at it, like I never would have thought to light
Yeah.
up.
To put that emoji in a
I
projector.
never would have thought to light the disco ball with your headlamp. Just like just shit like
Right,
that
right.
is just like that's good.
Yeah.
That's smart. But
He's very brilliant, and then lighting's always been a big thing for him. Even like in the
Mhm.
YouTube stuff, right?
Oh, okay.
So like
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's it's just not out of his wheelhouse is
Right.
thing. But when you look at he's one of the only ones to do it really, really well. Maria Bamford did a special in her living room in front of her parents who are
Oh,
not
really?
fans.
I didn't see that
Who
one.
are
How
not
was that?
fans.
They're nice. They're Midwestern old people
That makes
listening to Maria Bamford.
that makes me want to watch it even more just to
Yeah. Yeah. Harlan Williams. Do you know who Harlan Williams is?
Yeah, we talked
The guy who
about
plays
him on the
Rocky
pod
Man?
a couple times because he produces the Puppy Dog Pals. My son loves his show now.
Is that on Disney Plus with the two pugs?
It's on Disney Plus and it's on Hulu. But yeah, the Harlan.
Two pugs that like go on missions to
Yep.
save.
Yeah, Bingo
That
and
was
Rolly.
his
They're a
goal.
couple of puppies. They bark and chase and chew. So,
My daughter's been watching it and I hate it. I keep like, can we just get the Kung Fu Panda? Something.
Yeah,
Wanna see a
Bob.
panda eating fight stuff.
If she puts it on again, Bob is Harlan Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sure of it. I was pretty sure. And then also the tourist guy, like the neighbor, the man of color in the
Oh
show,
yeah.
is Kenneth from Speechless, which was a very, very great show.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway,
No.
what was your question?
Yeah, I forgot what
Oh
we were talking
no,
about.
we were talking about specials that came
so
out during the pandemic and stuff.
Harlan Williams,
Yep.
before pandemic, literally did a comedy special, like a HBO funded when that was a big deal, where he just went out into the desert with just a camera and a microphone. So he's
What?
literally out in, like, hiked in the desert,
What?
and he's just out there with a couple cameras, and he's just doing Harlan Williams comedy in front of no one.
What? This was before. He didn't do this during COVID.
No. This is 8-9 years ago.
What? What, dude? I have
Like, this
never
is when
seen
I
that before.
started doing comedy. It was like, 10, 11 years ago. 10.
I'm writing.
Oh my
I'm
God.
writing these down because I gotta watch them.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Netflix owned all comedy. Well, that was 8-9 years ago, so that's different, I guess. But
Yeah,
like,
no, this is like, and maybe it was a Netflix. Maybe it was one of the first Netflix ones. I remember being pretty available to watch. But yeah, it wasn't. I couldn't
wow.
watch the whole thing, but so, like, it's
Is
not
it
absurd.
difficult? Is it difficult to watch because no one's laughing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Harlan is a weird dude. Anyways, he's got a real odd delivery.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're fine. So here's one thing, Tim, is I feel like I'm asking all the questions or like stepping all over whatever. I feel like I'm the one kind of taking control of this session, and I shouldn't. Tim, you said that you had questions. You're like, hey, we're gonna get. I was like, Nathan said he's gonna come on. I'm gonna like get that set up. So was there anything you wanted to ask him? Because I feel like I'm just taking over here.
I mean, I had some questions like when I was listening to your podcast and stuff, and then I forget things. And like your whole your whole piece of advice, like get a notebook and write everything down. I try to write stuff down because my memory is horseshit. I forget. I forget everything. But
I did.
one thing that I have been noticing a lot, because like if I ever did do stand up, I'm like, my son is definitely giving me more material. Are you finding that with your daughter now? I mean, how old is your daughter?
She's 2.5.
So she's starting to talk and be funny. I got.
Oh, she's way past starting. She is mastered the language of English. She just walks around sassy. Not funny, Dad. Not funny. No. Nope, not funny. She is a little whippersnapper. That's for freaking sure. I have a hard time with that. I don't post like pictures on social media with my daughter.
Sure.
Which is so hard. I don't know if you've ever like just tried to not post stuff about the most wonderful thing in your life.
Right.
You know, like,
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever just had like a restraint, but I'm friends with comedy and networking. I have to be friends with everybody. Like I have to, unless it's a bot, I have to click accept because that person could be the key to 10 people coming to my show in Arizona, right? Or that person could set me up with not only what they could do for me, but what I can do for them. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
It's a very small network, and if you know people that, a lot of times if they're friending you, it's like, hey, I'm at the point where a lot of people are asking me to come do their shows, which is a really great feeling.
Nice.
And like a good spot to be in. So like I have to do that. With that means I also don't get, like, I only have a public life. You know what I mean? Like my private life has to stay offline.
Sure.
Otherwise, because my brother, you guys know I have a brother. He's 12 years older than I am. And he had a blog for a little while about just him and his kids and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to check it one time and it was gone. And I was like, hey, what happened to the blog? And he's like, oh, we just started getting comments from people we don't know. Like, oh, that's a lovely family. And like, oh, that's sweet. Oh, I live by there. You know, stuff like that. Like, they're just like, we got to take all this off. And so that scared the crap out of me. And they were, like my brother's not like trying to be this is like before Facebook was a huge thing, so it's not like
Right.
so they're like kids,
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So I have this like, my wife will post a few things here and there, but like it's not we try to leave her off the internet. And so
Yep.
it kind of bleeds into this the stand up a little bit, because she is a person and she doesn't know that I'm making fun of whatever. So
Yeah.
she doesn't have like permission. I don't know. It feels like, and I know I'm probably the only one who thinks like this, but like she hasn't, given consent for me to talk to her in front of strangers in Iowa. Like
Right. Yeah.
Greta in her Iowa, she's like, nah, I don't want people but knowing me about in Iowa. You know what I mean? So I have a few things about her, but it's mainly real generic kid stuff. It's not very
Sure.
specific.
Oh, sure.
It's so stupid, and I'm sure it's my own neuroses, but like the last thing I heard a interview with Mark Maron and John C. Riley. Did you guys hear that? WTF?
No.
It was a long
wait.
time ago.
Yes. The John C. Riley WTF.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I did, because John C. Riley doesn't really do interviews, and he
No.
like laid that out in the beginning almost.
Yeah,
Right?
Mark was like, "You have your kids?" And he goes, "How old are your kids?" And he goes, "Old enough where they don't have permission to give me to have their private lives." You know what I mean? And it was cold, and it was like it ruined the interview. Like it was a moment. Oh, Mark stepped over. I didn't realize the line was up to his feet already. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Right.
Like we don't talk about that because they are private children. They are not, they're not adults.
Yeah.
And so I was like, at first I was like, fuck you, John C. Riley. But then I was like, oh, I get that now. Like
Sure.
people are insane, and I don't know all of these people well enough. You know what I mean? Like every one of my Facebook friends used to be like, yeah, they could crash at my place. Now I'm at like so many friends where I wouldn't even let most of them crash in my house. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
so why do I want them to see my adorable kid? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure. Right.
Yeah. No, that's totally understandable. We're doing a similar thing. We're not avoiding it, but we're not doing it on purpose. I think that's just like that's just our stance right now. Is we're not taking Christmas photos and like covering up her face or anything like that, but we're also not posting the first time that she bit down on the metal handle of the freezer and it made Dad shit his pants because he hates that sound. Like grinding teeth against that metal bar is like,
Yeah. I totally get where you're coming from too, because I had a very similar situation with so we're on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, and I run Instagram, and I put a picture of my son like behind the boat like steering wheel, and it was like this wide angle lens, and it looked kind of cool, and I'm just like, that's a pretty cool photo, and I threw it on Instagram, and then like some weird older dude liked the photo, and then it brought out feelings that I wasn't ready for. All of a sudden I'm just like, why the fuck are you liking my kid's picture? And it's like, I want
you put it out there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right. No,
you put it out on an open account.
Yes.
What I mean?
No, I totally did. And I'm not mad at him for it. It was just this moment of where it hits you. You're just like, who's this guy and why is he liking my kid's pic? And then you're just like, oh, because I put it out there and I was hoping people would like my photos, I guess. So shit, I accomplished my goal, and that's not what
I feel bad about it.
Right. But that was kind of I think that's the only one I've ever put on Instagram of him, and I'm just like, well, I'm not going to get rid of it because he's little in this photo, and a couple of years from now he won't look like that anymore anyways. So
right,
but
especially as they grow up.
Fingers
They really change.
But I was just but I was just curious because he says so much stuff that if I like wrote it down, I could probably do like a whole set on just stories that he's told me. Like this, because you're a Disney fan, have you seen the new Luca movie?
Yeah.
So I saw the Josh. You've seen that too, haven't you? Yeah.
For sure.
So
Pixar, baby, I'm all
yes,
in. I'm wearing a fucking Buzz Lightyear
there you
shirt
go.
right now.
But we watched that Luca movie together, and for anybody that's listening, in the movie, Luca is like a sea monster. It's no spoiler. It's in the trailers or whatever. And when they get out of water, they become like human form, and as soon as they get wet, they go back. And my son like wanted to take a shower yesterday. He's like I over baths, I guess. He's like, I want to take a shower with dad. Like, okay, dude, let's take a shower then. And me and him hop in the shower, and then like after it's all done, he's like, next time I want it to be me, you, and mommy. And mommy's like, no, we're not gonna shower together. Like, mommy's different than you and daddy. And he just gets wide eyed and goes, you change colors?
That is the most innocent cute thing I've ever heard.
So then, yeah, then it was a whole like, no, there's different parts or whatever. And just like, oh, the things that kids pick up from movies, you just get caught off guard.
If anyone's being mean on a, like, we were watching Finding Nemo in the car, you know, the part where the sharks turn and start chasing Nemo or Marlin, and my daughter just starts, it's like midnight, we're driving, and she's just yelling, be nice, be nice, be nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good.
Kids, man, I love it. I love being a dad. I never thought I would, like, not never, but I didn't. I always thought like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Me too, man.
Mm-hmm.
It came on fast and still going fast. It's great. I love it.
Yep.
Now it's not weird to have all those Disney posters in my basement.
So there you go.
Now, like I've had those since like right after college. So and now it's like it's okay. Like people are like less weird. You know?
Right.
It's weird to have a Lion King right next to a Wilco poster, but it makes more sense now.
Oh, that's great. Well, I don't want to wrap with quite yet. We'll wrap soon, but you're a producer of some sorts, aren't you?
Yes. I produce whatever you want me to produce. Okay? I produce it all. No, I produce the Snow Jam Comedy Festival. I was actually just named the president, which means nothing. Just means I get to bang the gavel at the beginning of the meeting.
There you go.
We run a comedy festival in Sioux Falls called the Snow Jam Festival. We bring 30 comics from all over the world to Sioux Falls during the worst time. Right. So January, people that have never been to the Midwest were like, hey, come hang out in Sioux Falls, buy a jacket, and then come hang out.
Was that part of the invitation? It says buy a jacket on it.
Yeah, bring a jacket. And so we bring great people to the best place in the world at the worst time.
Nice.
And then what we do is we put on shows to raise money for the Special Olympics of South Dakota.
Nice.
So it's just a giant party fundraiser.
Nice.
That's very cool.
And you're in control of all of it. Like, I mean, are you guys
There's
filming it and everything, or
3 years ago, a while ago. Time is relative, man. I don't know. When I had more hair, we started it. It was me, Timmy Williams from The Whitest Kids You Know, and then Dan Bublitz Jr. from Dry Bar. He just filmed a Dry Bar special. We're all kind of based here, and we were like, it'd be cool to have a fundraiser comedy festival, bring people. And it started as a joke. It was basically a joke, and I was asked to help out when we were like, yeah, let's do it. And so this year is kind of our big year because we're converting the festival itself to its own nonprofit. which will give us a
Oh,
lot
nice.
more capability to do a lot more fundraising things. And
Right.
then we're bringing in not one. Oh, I can't announce this yet.
Oh, okay.
We're bringing in not
Exclusive.
one
Hit
but
the
two
horn.
headliners. Yeah, Mary Mack from Minneapolis. She's also on Hulu Solar Opposites.
Oh,
She had an amazing Conan. She was on Last Comic Standing. She's super funny.
Nice.
And then
nice.
her husband, Tim Harmstead, who also had a Harmstead, that also had a dry bar comedy special. And so it's kind of a big get. Like
Nice.
they're pretty happening, and we're getting
Yeah.
them as a pair, which is cool. So there's going to be one night where both of them are in Sioux Falls telling jokes to raise money for the Special Olympics. So
Nice.
Very cool.
And they do their own sets, or are they a comedy duo?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry. I didn't mean to
They're
put you on the
both
spot.
really funny comedians by themselves. So I
Sure.
assume that's what's going to happen. But anything could happen. Anything could happen. Yeah.
That's how you sell tickets
Anything-
right there.
Anything
That's
could
a producer.
it's gonna be a good time. So yeah, we like last year we did digitally. We kind of just did like a best of festival. So all the comedians that had been on the festival, we kind of did like
Okay.
a digital festival. And then the year before that, we had Sean Jordan, who was on All Fantasy Everything. Do you guys know that podcast at all?
No,
Mm-mm.
but
No.
good plug.
He's a Sioux Falls native, and they don't need our plug.
Especially on this podcast. I
Yeah, they don't. I mean, it's a great podcast, and I listen. But he's from Sioux Falls originally, so he got to headline Sioux Falls Festival. It's kind of special. So,
Nice.
and then before that, we had Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall,
Oh yeah,
Sure.
nice.
Good stuff.
and then that was like that was the first year we did the headliners. Usually, it was just like comics that are like me. So
Sure.
unknown.
Dude, your shit's funny. Don't well,
That's fine.
Isn't that
Doesn't
sort
matter
of the
if
stuff
nobody's
about
seen it.
Yes. And I think that's all comics, right? Like, I mean, even me and Tim, we've talked about it on our on this podcast several times, where we're just like, we have that like imposter syndrome, that self like, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think I'm
imposter
kind of funny,
syndrome
but
is hard. It is a hard thing to deal with
it's the
constantly.
worst.
Yeah.
Tim don't have it so bad. I got it bad. But Tim has it with fishing though, and that's the problem. That's what he brings to this podcast, and he's just like, he's so good at it, and he's more timid about it. And then me, I have
Timid.
this,
That's
like,
good. That's a good pun.
There you go.
oh,
Timid.
I made a pun. What'd I do?
Timid.
Tim.
My name is Tim.
Oh,
Timid. Tim.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and
Nice.
the id is part of the self-doubt part in psychology.
right.
Mm,
Tim id.
Jeez Louise.
I like that.
Boom. College educated, baby.
No,
it's
I
college
think that one came
experience.
straight up out of the improv
Yeah.
education there.
Well, like towards the beginning of our when we started talking here, you were kind of talking about Nathan. That is, you were talking about like how a lot of people you'll have out there saying this and that about how you start in comedy, and like that's, you just go out there and start, and like that's what I was feeling about like fishing. It's like a lot of the same stuff, and
Yeah.
I feel like an imposter trying to tell people how to do stuff sometimes, because there's so many people that are just like, here's the best bait, here's the best techniques, and it's like there's so much more to it. That's not how it works. The fish
Yeah.
are temperamental just like people are. It's like trying to tell people like, this is how you pick up a chick at the bar. I just go in and I say this. Sure, maybe it worked for you because you're 6'5" and you're gorgeous and you picked up that lady, no problem. If I go in and say like, hey, what's the weather like? She's like, get the fuck away from me, fatty. Like, it doesn't work the same for everybody. And that's just, so sometimes when you're trying to tell people how, like, this is how I would do it, I always feel like it's all in the English. And then sometimes later I'm just like, I listen back to it and I'm just like, I don't know. Is any of that right? I mean, it worked for me once. Does anybody buy what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, like you can't. It's the same with fishing and comedy. Like you can't just go buy the best microphone or the best fishing rod and start
Mhm.
catching more fish.
Very true. Yes.
Right.
Right? You
Yep.
can't.
Mhm.
You can buy your way onto a better boat. You know, like,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
you know, like
You could buy your way onto a better stage.
yeah.
Sure.
You can buy
Doesn't
your
mean
way.
you're gonna nail it.
Yeah, but when it time comes, you got to reel it in. You know.
Very, very true. Yes.
So I mean, I do remember, I do think of fishing fondly, but it's never my thing. I don't like touching things.
Yeah. Speaking of
And like,
touching things, you made me nervous when you started saying like, yeah, the reason I don't really like fishing is my uncle, and I'm like, oh,
no,
where's
no,
this going?
Whoa.
we're gonna have to
Hold
do
on.
it. We're gonna
Pump
have
the
to do it.
brakes. We're gonna have to wrap up the podcast there. Nathan, please plug anything you want to our 10 listeners. We're gonna wrap up the Real AFTV podcast. And by the way, there was a lot of video going on this one. We're not ready to launch the video yet. We have some video configurations to do. So you can go over to patreon.com/realaftv, REEALFTV. I think I put too many E's in there.
Yeah.
But go to patreon.com/realaftv.
got two
Real
E's.
with 2 E's.
Dope as hell.
Yeah, we do. We got a Patreon. We have one subscriber. But anyways, if you go over there, that is where the video version is. It is locked behind the $1 paywall. That's it, guys. You will be able to see this on Patreon for $1. Sorry, Nate, I'm not using you as a cash grab. I promise. It's just that we can't figure out the video on like totally configured yet. So it works, but there's more glitches in it than I would like. What's that?
Everyone's got the price, and mine's surprisingly cheap. So cash grab is fine. I'll take 10% of that one Patreon.
Sounds good.
I've got some plug.
Yes, please.
Check out my website, nathanhults.com. That's NATHANHULTS.com. And my social medias are all Nathan Hults. Same. And then check out the Town Cry podcast. It's a funny podcast with a lot of heart. So, or don't. Just come see me at a show sometime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. It's great.
Yeah. Oh,
it's been
and
great
check out
having
the
you on.
Snow Jam Comedy Festival. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Comedy
We
Festival.
talked about Snow Jam. Definitely. Do you have dates for it yet?
Yeah, it's January 19th through the 22nd.
Very nice. That is the dead heat of winter. It's no joke.
Fucking around. Not fucking around. You come to the
You're
best
bringing people
place in the
not
world
from the Midwest
in
to
the
South
worst
Dakota.
time. Yeah.
That's fucking
January.
funny by itself, dude.
Your invitation comes.
Started as a joke.
Your invitation comes with a YouTube link to what a snowdrift is.